The Siaya Governor James Orengo has decided that if William Ruto wants to rest, he should wait and rest in peace in heaven, but not here when he's still the president of the country. While everyone is busy eating in the kitchen, in the blood-based, broad-based, bread-based government, and they have buried their heads in the sand like the proverbial ostrich, James Orengo is coming out and is telling Kenyans that Kenya is not in the right trajectory and that we should stand up for our rights. And Orengo continues from where he left. Remember, he has said that William Ruto is a passing cloud, and he's saying that this government is very unpopular. He has continued to remind the members of the broad-based government that when you are appointed as a minister, it is your right as a taxpayer. It is your right as a Kenyan if you qualify. If William Ruto gives you roads, you are a taxpayer, and therefore you should not praise and worship him as if that is sympathy. Now today Orengo is coming out and saying that he's ready to go to jail. I think those sentiments are very strong. He's saying he's ready to go to jail if that is the price that he has to pay for speaking on behalf of the downtrodden, on behalf of Kenyans. And he's saying that the way things are moving, politically speaking, Orengo is predicting that we are not going to have a free and fair election, that William Ruto is going to rig the elections as far as the process of identifying and appointing the IEBC commissioners are concerned. And Orengo is saying he cannot keep quiet. Then he's also telling the Gen Zs that this is their moment. He's echoing the words of the former president Uhuru Kenyatta, who told Gen Zs and the youths at large that their time to liberate Africa is now, not tomorrow. And Orengo is telling them that they need to go back to the streets and they are not alone. Orengo is saying, we are ready to join you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our channel. If you are watching us for the first time, please subscribe and click the notification bell to allow YouTube to notify you whenever we release a video like this. Please like and share our videos. This is James Orengo.
I am prepared to go back to jail. I'm prepared to go back on the streets. This is not a country to be proud about. This is a country where now the young people, the Gen Zs, you have to come out and we are prepared to join you. In Kenya, our institutions are under trial. There's no single institution that is not under trial in Kenya. If you go to the Supreme Court, there are a lot of questions that are being raised about the principal judicial organ, the supreme organ in the country called Kenya. There are questions on the issue of the Constitution, and here I'm with Raila Amolo Odinga. Devolution is under threat, and until we are prepared to fight for the Constitution and not for the little things we are given, unless we are prepared to fight for what is in the Constitution for us as a matter of right, Kenya is going to lose direction. I am asking the Kenyan people that we should be like other democracies where people fight for their rights and what belongs to them. That is how we can take Kenya forward. Not by this silly politics we're being engaged in. Now, even in the political field now, 60 years, Kenya is a republic. And the only strategy we can think about winning elections at the national level is to form ethnic coalitions, tribal coalitions. Tribal coalitions, that is not going to help. Right now in Kenya, the last free and fair election that we had was in 2002. If we are not careful, even this election that is coming is not going to be free and fair. I am looking at it critically. Even with this IBC, I can see the membership that is going to come out of this process. I am sure that unless they are constitutionally anchored and allowed the space, Kenya is not going to have free and fair elections. is not going to have free and fair elections. We are living in a country where the most popular man in the country for the last 20 years, Raila Amolo Odinga, cannot win an election because it's being stolen all the time. And we are forced to now enter into deals and transactions that do not make sense. So the struggle is going to be more difficult.
Ladies and gentlemen, is someone sending Orengo? Is it working for someone? In this video, I want to tell you why William Ruto is terrified. For those who watched my videos yesterday, I showed you a video, a clip of William Ruto attending one of the events in Nyeri. He looked tormented. He looked worn out. And today, Orengo comes up with this. What does it portend to William Ruto? Do you think William Ruto has got any reason to be worried about the statements that Orengo is making? And I will tell you. Number one, ladies and gentlemen, William Ruto is actually confused. Because just recently, when Orengo and Governor Nyong'o and the Secretary General of the ODM, Edwin Sifuna, spoke and criticized the government, attacking it very fiercely. And some of the ODM president worship team, those who are in the broad-based, criticized Orengo. Raila came out and protected Orengo and Nyong'o, and he said that this is a democratic party. Each and every person is allowed to air their own sentiments and views. So Orengo comes up again and is making startling allegations. Orengo says votes will be rigged. You know, the time we are sitting at a very precarious moment. The situation and the political, ground in the country is very volatile. And Orengo says Gen Z should go back to the streets. He says we will join them. And in that statement, he's really criticizing the broad-based government. According to Orengo, it is useless to have this broad-based government because it is not helping Kenyans. But William Ruto is actually confused. Who has sent Orengo? Is it Raila? Is Orengo speaking on his own? And if he's speaking on his own, then you cannot criticize him because it is the party leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, who said he's got every reason to speak. Remember, when Edwin Sifuna, at the burial of Raila's aide to war, when Edwin Sifuna attacked Ruto, Ruto said he's a founder member of ODM and therefore he will sanction the punishment of Edwin Sifuna. But Raila comes and says no one will be punished, let them speak. So Orengo comes up. So if he's speaking his mind, you cannot criticize him. Raila gave the green light. If he's speaking for Raila Amolo Odinga, they are worried. What are they going to do next? William Ruto has lost the support base of Mount Kenya. So even if he realizes that it is Raila sending Orengo, what else can he do? You cannot fall out with Mount Kenya and you fall out with Raila. That will be so detrimental. Can you imagine if Raila and Wamunyoro teams up? We will not even have to wait for 2027. Ruto will go with a motion of impeachment. So Ruto is actually stranded. Orengo is speaking the language of Raila Amolo Odinga. That makes it even more difficult for the praise and worship team. People like Samuel Atandi, people like the Homa Bay town member of parliament, Opondo Kaluma. They cannot criticize this. Why? Orengo has spoken criticizing this government, but he has also said that he's speaking, that there's a way they read from the same page with Raila when it comes to devolution, because Raila said William Ruto is the #1 saboteur of devolution. Monies are not going down, not trickling down to the county levels. And Orengo criticizes that. Orengo says, on this we are speaking the same language. He says every institution is under trial. So there's no way you are going to criticize Orengo and cherry pick that this is bad, but when it comes to devolution, because Raila spoke about it, it is good. They are confused. How will you even criticize that? Raila had said, let him speak. Raila had also talked about the devolution. So you cannot say, Orengo, you spoke ill, but on this, about devolution, you are right. They are actually dumbfounded. They don't know what to do because he's actually speaking the mind of Raila. Number 3, Orengo is reminding the Gen Zs that it is your time to rise up. Remember, when he's telling them these statements, Uhuru just spoke about the same. The Finance Bill 2025 has been tabled on the floor of the National Assembly. A very delicate affair. It is the one that led Gen Zs to the streets last year, June. So as they begin that process, the country is volatile. Gen Zs are already warning their undertones that we are watching very carefully if you are going to levy more taxes on us, and the MPs who are going to support this. So people can easily go to the streets. These statements are coming against the backdrop of just that very evidence, the expose, the documentary by the BBC that exposed William Ruto, exposed the Kenya Kwanza government as a butcher. So Orengo is coming up with this statement and saying, if you want, if you like, you can take me to jail. So he's rallying Gen Zs at a time when Gen Zs are ready, at a time when there are every reason that can take them back to the streets, reminding them of the cruel hands of the police that killed them. And that is why William Ruto is a worried man. Orengo is setting up a narrative that William Ruto and his allies may not like. He's talking about an election that is not going to be free and fair. And this is happening at a time when I know William Ruto is almost giving us the name of the chairman of the IEBC Commission. Remember, we were largely messed up by the late chairman, the former chairman, Wafula Chebukati. Remember, at the Supreme Court, there were cries from people like Cherera that the former IEBC chairman was a bully. So Orengo knows very well that William Ruto is about to announce, or rather to appoint, the IEBC chairperson, and he comes up with these startling allegations. He's speaking the mind of Wamunyoro, Rigathi, and the group when the opposition is teaming up. And the opposition has also warned about the outcome of the IEBC commission and the chairperson. Remember, just the other day we were told they sneaked in certain names. And Maraga warned us that election is not an event. Election is a process. It begins with even the procurement of the election materials. It begins with the appointment, the interview and appointment of the commissioners, because that sets the base of whether an election is going to be free and fair. And Orengo is saying, in his very considered opinion, he can see that things are not going to be the same. And ladies and gentlemen, William Ruto has got a lot to deal with. I think he bit more than he can chew. And Orengo does not care. When all the others are busy eating in the kitchen, he's speaking the mind of Kenyans, he's speaking for them. And if Raila is not careful, the country is going to revolt, and the members of the broad-based government will be left when the train is moving, and Orengo will be in the train.